You often say that, for example, on your social media, that you are skeptical of the future of classical chess and advocate for example, freestyle or faster time controls. Hasn't the recent World Cup and Grand Swiss shown that there is still potential for classical chess, that there are many interesting, exciting games, and that people still manage to find some new opening ideas, maybe dubious objectively, but very playable to play for a win? What do you think about that?
You are mentioning the World Cup and the Grand Swiss, but these are events where in the beginning there is 100 games a day. I mean, and you are allowing yourself to cherry pick, well, okay, this game was interesting, that game was interesting. I would be allowed to point out that, this is the round of 16. 7 of 8 games was drawn. Some of them was drawn, by just showing, a forced preparation line. So I don't think it's reasonable to say classical is doing great by using mass events and then picking specific games. It's not criticism of you, but criticism of the thing in general, of course. I say classical chess is dead is too strong, and you can also see that the young players are evolving it. I mean, that's what I'm perhaps praising Gukesh for and other young players, that they are adapting to the situation. So they will start, when you have the white pieces, what do you do these days? I mean, earlier you would try to play the best moves and you will get an advantage. That doesn't happen anymore. So now you're trying to come up with weird ideas. You're trying to get rather an informational advantage than an objective advantage, and put pressure like that. And it is an interesting struggle, no doubt. But I still like, let's say, rapid controls more. I mean, you can see what Dubov was doing in the World Cup, right? I mean, Dubov, by many recognized as, a creative genius when it comes to opening preparation, but he basically says, I'm incapable of coming up with relevant ideas that will work in classical chess. So he's trying to hit in the shorter time controls where you can bluff considerably more. Perhaps not bluff in the true sense of playing something that's lost, but bluff in the sense that the main concept is surprise value rather than objective values in a way. And when I say I like rapid and freestyle more, it's because I think they reward skills more than classicals do, or at least the skills that I care about. I mean, let's say playing ability. In classical, it becomes too much about opening preparation, I would say, or surprise value. While in the other games, you can mainly just play and the opening phase becomes less relevant. That, of course, can feel strange as you're talking to someone whose main passion for chess is by a considerable margin the opening phase, and I have spent my whole life studying details of chess openings, and I still do. I mean, even in my spare time, I will open a chessboard and start analyzing, if I need to relax. It's a very relaxing thing for me. But no, I don't think classical chess is dead, and I think also people love classical chess. But when you're using arguments like the World Cup or what do you say?
Grand Swiss.
Grand Swiss. It is especially mass events where you choose certain games and say it's great. I think 7 of 8 games would be drawn in the World Cup. And if you actually need 16 players to play at the same time just to create one game that's entertaining, that's a little bit too much. Also, we have gotten used to this in chess, but 7 of 8 games being drawn, that would not feel acceptable in any other sport than classical chess. So, I mean, you can like it or not, but my main reservation is that I think people is more or less giving up generating new opening ideas. This is perhaps only felt at the very top. Not to be critical of your colleagues, but you will also see people saying, wow, amazing game, all these tactics are happening. And for me, it's just, this is Timon Karpov from a world championship match 35 years ago. Well, what is your point, right? So, I mean, people might also be excited for the wrong reasons in a way. But, I'm hoping still to have a long life. And part of things I'm looking forward to see with that is how will, opening theory develop 40 years from now? For me, it strikes me as impossible that we can refresh ourselves. And but I have been wrong before, and I have a lot of respect for what, let's say the young Indian players, each in their specific flavor, but still in the same way, managed to make chess interesting in a way. But still, I think when we talk about freestyle, it's to some extent invented by Fischer, it's advocated by Kasparov, and advocated by Magnus. If we don't think these three guys know something about chess, we're also kidding ourselves, right? I like to watch all of it, but I am skeptical that classical chess will not, eventually hit this kind of limitations. This is not a new theory, right? Capablanca was complaining about it, maybe even Lasker, I have forgotten. And it feels a bit like how I felt in 2018, that you have this idea of how chess is, and you're completely wrong. But now I feel we're actually starting to be right. It's very difficult to find relevant opening ideas, and that is a little bit of a pity, because what I very much dislike is that it becomes a rational strategy for players to spend a lot of time mapping things out mathematically, and it becomes a relevant strategy sitting before a classical game trying to memorize things. It would be much better that if we go to the game with, a little bit of preparation, but then the game is decided by two human minds who try to beat each other with, thoughts, not memorization. And that, I think we are struggling quite a bit. Even when I had to play my, good friend Jan Gustafsson in the Bundesliga here recently, right? You wake up in the morning, you heroically try to remember everything, despite you understand that there is a likelihood the game is going to be a quick draw. There is too much memorization in chess and too little over the board play, and that, I think, is the structural thing I'm talking about. It's not that I want to diss classical chess, to be honest. I think freestyle chess is a way to try and save classical chess to what it should be, but I would like it to be classical chess, that it worked. But for me, it doesn't work fully anymore, and it's something that's only gonna get worse. So there will be some kind of slow death, which everything faces, of course, in a way, right? But I think I tried to answer your question at least.
Definitely. So what's your prediction? Slow death of classical being replaced by fast time control and Fischer random freestyle chess?
The fast time control replacement has already happened. Not in the full, of course, but let's say when I worked for Vichy, fast time controls was something that you looked moderately down on, right? Vichy will win all rapid tournament, but who cares? That's not real chess in a way. And nothing wrong with that. That's how it was seen at the time. But now, for instance, World Rapid and Blitz are considered very important and relevant titles, with everybody showing up in a way. Perhaps Grishuk was one of the first to have this idea. He started saying openly, this is my priorities. I want to win these events. And this has gained in popularity. And of course, the classical world champion title is still the one that by far most people consider the most relevant. But there has been a considerable change in terms of both prestige and finances from where, it was perhaps 95%, 15 years ago. Now it's more balanced in a way. And you will see, for instance, the esports World Cup recently that was won by Magnus, but there was a lot of money at stake. And it was clear that the players felt this was an important event for Magnus, for Hikaru as well, perhaps for Firusha as well, I would say. Priority is shifting there. But of course, it's not shifting like classical chess is dead and everybody will play the other things. But it's become more legitimate in a way. And you can see also players starting to shift. Well, Grishuk perhaps the front runner, but now many others who thinks, well, classical and rapid is a completely respectable sporting career to have in a way. I don't know about Firusha nowadays. I don't know why he's not in the World Cup. Maybe he just thinks that, why should I spend 3.5 weeks for trying to desperately qualify when I can play speed chess instead? And that will seem strange to many, but, well, we should look at the priorities of the best players and judge based on that. But of course, it's not a full replacement. And while it's obvious that I really love freestyle chess, and I think that freestyle chess is specifically suitable for the classical time control because they actually need it because it's so difficult and it makes it more interesting. I don't see it replacing classical chess because it's very elitist in the term you have to be extremely good to play it well. And for spectators, it's difficult to follow. I think it would technically be a better game than classical chess. But of course, such things are decided by popular demand. And well, I only get to vote once, right? So it's going to be hard to change.